Hi, I'm Bhante Sujato here today with Lesley Christian to discuss some verses from the Theragāthā, the verses of the senior monks. And this time we're going to discuss verse number 22 by a monk called Chittaka. And I might just sort of mention that one of the treasures of this collection of verses is that we preserve the verses of many monks and for the Theragāthā, the voices of many nuns, who are otherwise unknown to us. Of course, in the collections we have the famous monks who everybody knows, Venerable Sariputta, Venerable Ananda, and so on. But we also have a lot of monks who maybe are mentioned once or twice in the suttas, maybe aren't mentioned at all. And this is all we have. Even those monks who we know quite a bit of, we sometimes find that there's perspectives on them, like angles on their personality, which don't come through so much in the prose suttas. So this is one of those monks, Venerable Chittaka, and fairly obscure monk, but he has this verse here in the Theragāthā. Crested peacocks with beautiful blue necks cry out in Karangvi. Aroused by a cool breeze, they awaken the sleeper to practice jhana. So here we have, again, a fairly typical verse from the Theragāthā, the beauty of nature. One thing which really shines through in these early verses, so much connection with nature, with the forest, and that very kind of intimate relation between being in nature, in the forest, and practicing meditation. If you have ever been in a place where there are peacocks, you'll know that the cries of peacocks are indeed loud and distinctive, and they do indeed wake you up early in the morning. And so, you can imagine that just being there in the forest and seeing the peacocks. In India, of course, they're a native bird. I've been here in a little house in just north of Sydney here in Newcastle, where there were actually wild peacocks in the forest, which would come down in the morning and strut around the place and cry out and so on. So it can be very beautiful. And then they awaken the sleeper to practice jhana. Of course, jhana being a technical term in Buddhist meditation for stages of very profound stillness and peace. And this was one of the few words which I sort of haven't been able to really translate into English, so I've just kept it as the Pali form. I don't really think that there is a good translation, or at least I haven't found one yet. Karangvi, just by way of explanation, is the name of a forest. I'm not exactly sure where Karangvi is, but it would have been one of the forests in northern India or one of those regions. So Lesley, what did you think about this verse?
To me, it represents, as you read it, a conjunction of something really beautiful but there's also a kind of sharpness because the shrillness of this beauty.
Right.
So it has two things. It's both beautiful, but also there is a very sharp reminder involved in this voice that wakens the sleeper to practice.
Okay.
So, and in itself, the peacock, I was going to ask you, would you say that this aroused by a cool breeze, so there is that natural, how is the natural elements, how are they playing in this? Is it a sense of the morning?
That's right, a sense of the morning time. India, of course, typically is very hot. Right, so the cool breeze is like a freshness and alertness to it. Perhaps probably this may be up in the mountains somewhere. So you have that environment that's very kind of stunningly beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful environments anywhere in the world. And of course there's various resonances to these things. Like the peacock is not just a bird, but is also a mythic creature, right? I mean, this is something which is so stunningly and startlingly beautiful. It just appears like an apparition. It's almost like there's of course lots of gods which are identified with the peacock, royal dynasties which are identified with the peacock. So it's something which appears like this kind of apparition of divine beauty or something like that. It's almost like this is the voice of the god which is calling you up to meditate.
Yes, so I have that the image of the beginning of the day's practice, there is a stillness too, isn't there, in that, the image of being with nature.
Yeah. Okay, so thanks for being with us for one more session, and we'll hope to join you with the next session.